I hope, and if not, I'll let Nikki and Brittany do all the talking, which is probably a better idea anyway. Welcome to our June edition of First Friday Fertility on Facebook Live. I'm here live from Washington, D.C., so I'm not live. Everyone else is transmitted over the internet, and I've got a really good picture of right now some orchids and the top of a laptop, so I can't really see anyone else, but that's okay. I'm imagining you are all out there and having a lot of fun and laughing just as much as we are. Today's topics are going to be several. We're going to talk about the grand opening. We're going to talk about the progesterone therapy, talk about exercise, diet, all those great things. And I will have Brittany and Vicky lead it off, and I will just sort of disappear into the background now.
Okay, so for that, welcome, first of all. We're so glad that you're here again, for those of you that have already joined, and if you haven't before, I'm Brittany. I'm one of Dr. Perry's nurses, and then
I'm Vicky. I'm one of the other nurses.
Yes, and so we're so happy you're here. So we'll kind of be covering all this. We've been preparing for it. So one thing, we want to encourage questions. So whether you send them to us beforehand or ask throughout, we want to answer the questions that you're most wondering about. And so you'll see us glance down a minute. We have more of an outline of that we want to follow for doing this Facebook Live. So any questions to start off with from anybody? Hi, Emily and Sarah.
Hi, Emily. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Emily. Hi, Sarah. Hey, one of the things that I wanted to mention to you, some of y'all are going to catch this not live, and that's a great thing because, of course, that information is there for you. But one thing to do is if there's a question you want us to kind of cover in future segments, then send us that to fertility@periscope.com. fertility@periscope.com.
Yeah, P-A-R-R-Y. I spell my name funny. But then also, if you also post it on to if you want to anonymously, that's the way to do it. Or also, if you put it on to the actual video and just do a comment there, we'll see that and we'll incorporate that into the next one as well. So there are a couple options if you want to do it directly to Facebook as you're watching it, or again, emailing us separately, or come on down to the office and we'll talk about things. There are all kinds of options and things. So.
Hey, Brooke and Rachel.
And Emily, thank you so much. And thank you, Sarah. Y'all are all so sweet. Okay, so coming up first on the agenda, we have our grand opening coming up. We are so excited. And so anybody, patients who have never been here before, just our friends and family, anybody, we would love for you to come. I'm going to kind of go over the schedule a little bit so you'll know what to expect, but it's going to be on June 6th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. There's going to be mini consults with Dr. Perry for free. There is going to be a drawing for a cooler with eggs in it, of course, because we're a fertility clinic. So there will be that. The mayor will be here to speak. And then we will have pickles and ice cream and things like that. So we are super excited. So anytime throughout the day that you can come, please do. Dr. Perry, anything to add about that?
Yeah, I was going to say bring kids. And on our webpage, if you go to periscope.com, under Positive Steps, you'll see the announcement, and it'll give a schedule for the day. But that schedule, the 9:30 sort of grand opening, ribbon cutting, all those types of things, that's kind of fixed. The rest of it, we're going to play it by ear. Depending on who's here, we'll do tours, we'll do mid-consults, we'll do talks. You'll be able to see what sperm looks like live under a microscope. Dr. Norman's going to do embryology discussion, all kinds of things. We will adjust it to whomever's there and whatever we can do. So there's a schedule, but at the same time, we're here for you individually as well. Free rain checks, by the way, for those going with cooler. And by the way, also for sharing with your friends. The grand prize we're doing a door prize. If you share any of our announcements on Facebook, or you like our page, or you show up, you're entered for door prizes, which include a full free, for not only full fertility consult, but actually the testing, for the periscope testing. Then there's sort of the Yeti cooler with the eggs. The 65, really good size one, good top of the line, just like what we do. And of course, we're giving away for sort of the third prizes, and we're doing actually 3 of them for just full free consults. So you can gift any of these to your friends. If you are successful and made it to the other side, we are helping others to get information as well, and so help those who haven't had your degree of success as well, and let them know about it, and hopefully give them some free care. Okay, back to you guys.
I feel like I'm on the news station. Back to you guys.
From the field here, we're again, Darcy.
Love it.
I'm actually about a mile from the Capitol, I think. I have to look out my window. But I'm in D.C. I'm part of a national leadership meeting for women's health. This is part of ACOG, American College of OBGYN. I'm Secretary-Treasurer-elect for Mississippi, so I'm proud to represent our state in aspects of women's health. By the way, everything and anything I say is of my own accord, and Positive Steps Fertility, and is not on behalf of ACOG or any other organization. I think I have to say that legally. I don't know.
Let's keep it right.
Exactly. Do it right.
Hey, listen, we're going to talk a little bit about diet and fertility now. And one of the statements that people hear, hey, can I have a cheeseburger during all this process? Absolutely. I'm sitting here, and my mom's doctor used to get on to her all the time because he would catch her in the break room eating a cheeseburger. So it's okay to do it occasionally, and so that's the factor that we always stick with. We try to say that, limit what you're eating that's bad or conceived to be bad, and then try to focus more on what you're eating healthy. Focus on the things that are not processed. Focus on the things that are more natural, things that the green leafy things. There's been a lot of focus over our lifetime, my lifetime. I'm a lot older than most of you, but a well-balanced diet is what we kind of lean toward. The nutrients that we choose, that's the positive thing. There's a lot about folic acid. Folic acid is one of the best things that you can focus on because it helps to decrease the chances for neural tube defects. Certainly we don't see as much anymore, but we want to protect that spine, development. So those are things that we want to pay attention to. And also, the question is, the foods that I should eat to get me pregnant. Well, there's really not any foods that's going to make you pregnant, pineapple included in that. Pineapple is a great nutritional snack, but it shouldn't be thrown in there to say, that's going to help me get pregnant. But certainly, I just want to share one story with you, and it's vivid because it made an impact for this patient. When we sit down with you and say, hey, let's look at what you're eating, how you're eating, let's get on an exercise program of walking, just adding little steps along the way. I share that because I know it works for some patients. And I go back in 2008 when I sat down with a patient and said, hey, let's look at what you're eating. And we went over that. She was going through the drive-through most of the time, and she started paying attention to that. She lost only 6 pounds and came up with a positive pregnancy test. So there's a lot of information on the website, and our website, other websites. Make sure it's a reputable source for nutrition, things of that nature. But, this patient got pregnant because she started paying attention. She did have polycystic ovaries. There's a lot of things out there on polycystic ovaries and dieting. So eating healthy is one of the key things that, that you should focus on. And
mind if I jump in for a second?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so this relates to a very interesting study which showed for women with PCOS, who on average lost 10 pounds, if they had no periods and then they lost 10 pounds, About 80% would start ovulating again, and 2/3 of them got pregnant within a year. So that's where losing weight and diet can make a huge difference. If you're going from 0 eggs to 1, that's overwhelming. And similarly, if you're too skinny and you don't have any calories in your body, says, oh my gosh, I'm fighting for my life. I'm being chased by grizzly bears and all those bad things. Being able to gain a little bit of weight so you ovulate, that's very hard on both ends for either end of things. That can make a difference. At the same time, for most people where their body mass index, which is a function of their weight and height, is around 30, 35, being a little bit on the heavier side for that, it really shifts your baseline fertility by 5%. So if you are running 2% chance per month of getting pregnant, that's taking you to 1.9%. It's not an overwhelming difference. Part of why we emphasize wellness as a whole is we want you to be healthy, but also we want you to have a healthy pregnancy, and the baby is what you eat. And again, I always say, you go to McDonald's, you'll find people eating horribly, and they're surrounded by a litter of kids. But so it's not a make or break thing, but at the same time, it is something that affects your risk for gestational diabetes, preeclampsia, a baby with stuck shoulders. All these types of things can be influenced by weight and also the health of the kid. It's interesting. They looked at mice and they fed them the same calorie diets, but if it was high sugar, the baby mice actually had fat distributed in very different ways than mice that eat good calorie sources of nutrition. And so you can even shape how your baby looks by eating well over the course of pregnancy. Okay, that's enough of me. Back to Vicki.
Okay, very good. Hi, everybody who's logging in. Thank y'all so much for watching. Okay, our next topic is exercise and fertility. So this is probably one of the top questions that we get from people is about exercise. So we'll cover a few of the high points, and then if you have any questions, you can just post them on here. Exercise is absolutely encouraged while you're trying to get pregnant. That makes for a healthier body for you, healthier environment for the baby once you are pregnant. So it is just good all around to exercise before. Another thing is whatever you're doing before you get pregnant, you can continue to do in pregnancy. There's a very few things that are off limits. And I'll go over those in a second, but keep doing what you're
referring to exercise, by the way. If drinking is how you get pregnant, do that throughout pregnancy.
Okay, yes. So, continue though. Don't, we have so many patients who are like, oh, now that I'm pregnant, I'm just going to lay here on the couch and watch TV. I don't need to exercise. No, that is not healthy and you might get a blood clot. Do not do that. Okay, so the 3 categories you need to stay away from once you're pregnant. No extreme bending. So that is something you just don't want to do. So anything, other than these 3 things you can do. Extreme heat. So no hot yoga, nothing that raises your core body temperature. So we're going to stay away from those. And then obviously any abdominal trauma. So don't go to boxing or kickboxing or anything where you're going to get kicked or hit in the stomach. I think that one's pretty common sense, but we have to say that. So anyway, continue exercising and that'll be good for you and your baby. Dr. Perry, what do you have to add to that?
Absolutely. One other thing that's really kind of interesting is that a lot of people who are sort of more athletic, they actually, you'll talk to their spouses and they'll say, okay, if she stops exercising, she gets really moody and she's going to kill me. I do not want her to stop exercising under any circumstances. And what happens is when you are lower weight and very athletic, you get endorphins, which are sort of the body's natural happy drugs, so to speak. And that makes people feel good. And so when you take those away, people get miserable. And so one thing also that's important is not only is it good to have endorphins flowing throughout your body, but also if you stop exercising, you lose those that can lead to people becoming upset or even depressed. And so one thing you've got to also plan for is for people who are very athletic, sometimes they can't do the marathons lugging around that bowling ball when they get to their 2nd or 3rd trimester of pregnancy. And so they also have to start saying, how am I going to adjust for endorphins to make sure I'm well throughout this process if that's what my body needs? And so you come up with an exercise plan, and then if you start feeling depressed or having other problems, you want to talk with a specialist to make sure you're generally well, because we want a happy baby, and to get a happy baby, you need a happy mom.
Absolutely, and it's already stressful enough going through all this, so definitely it does help with the moods, and we've seen that a ton. All right, let's see what else.
Progesterone. Oh, what happens with progesterone? There's a lot of questions that are given to us by patients, and they ask, hey, don't I need a progesterone supplement? And we say, actually, we don't test for progesterone, because the key part is you're ovulating or you're not, and you're going to start a period or you're not, and you're either going to be pregnant or you're not. And that's kind of simple, but it goes along with our natural ovulation cycles. If you develop a follicle and you release that follicle, progesterone should be released as well. Progesterone.
What is a follicle, Vicki, by the way?
The follicle is that fluid-filled cyst that's within an ovary that actually has an egg in it, or it should have an egg in it. Hopefully has an egg. And so when that's released, it's almost as a balloon pops, that egg releases out of that sac there, and that's what helps with that progesterone. And so, 2 weeks is the timing of that. So you should, if you release an egg, 2 weeks later, you're either pregnant or not. And so that's, we try to save patients money in a lot of ways, and doing unnecessary tests just saves us money if we're not doing those.
But also it saves people time. And frankly, I'm not a huge fan of acupuncture and being jabbed with needles unnecessarily. Even acupuncturists would say, look, just sticking it into the vessels doesn't necessarily help you. You got to know where you're putting it. So I would say, if I can avoid you guys being stabbed in a way that doesn't help, that's a good thing.
Very good.
I'm laughing at everybody's comments about how Dr. Perry is here. Yes, he would not miss this. Even though his flight was delayed and all this kind of stuff, he is still on this Facebook Live because he loves his patients.
And we tried to.
In case he wasn't able to join us, we put that up here. We printed off his picture and put a hat on him and everything.
By the way, my hair is really white. I'm not that old, guys.
No, that's a blue cap over.
Exactly.
We just had to put something to make it look fluffy, like a head full of hair.
Grandpa Perry here. That's okay.
And thank you so much, Donna, for all your sweet comments. Now, I do have a question here, Dr. Perry, and maybe you can answer this. This patient is saying, if you have previously been under the female athlete triad, is exercise still safe while trying to conceive?
Great question.
That is a great question.
So exercise, first of all, exercise is safe and is well for you. The problem with the female athlete triad is that if you're exercising more, sometimes it may be harder to get you to release an egg. And we've seen patients where we were caring for them and we were able to get eggs out very easily, and then all of a sudden they start training for a marathon and all of a sudden we can't get eggs out. So I think one thing we would have to watch is if we can't get eggs, then what do we do about it? And there are two ways. One is to go up on doses, or three ways really. Go up on the dose for the medication, see if you can get some. Another is to actually have people stop exercising as much so that they're more responsive to the medication. And the third is to do IVF or gonadotropins or injectable medication. Usually that's a lot more costly, so my kind of preference is to try to save people money and do the first two. But ultimately, we can figure out a solution for wherever people are in life. And I think that's the most important thing. But staying healthy, staying well, staying fit, these are all very important things. And just talk to us about it. That's the most important thing. Yep. It doesn't matter where you are. Everyone sort of stresses and thinks, oh my gosh, I can't do this, or whatever. We've worked with people with whatever they have going on, and there's no fear, there's no embarrassment. It's just what it is. We'll help you.
Yes.
Here's another question, Dr. Perry. If y'all don't check for progesterone, what testing do you do?
That's a great and also important question. The reason for checking for progesterone is to make sure people are ovulating. But the thing is, because when we're doing medication, we do ultrasound. When we see the egg get to a particular size, it's pretty much 100% that it's going to ovulate after it gets past the particular size. And then we also give an HCG trigger to make sure it did. So we're really confident people ovulated. And again, there are only 3 groups of people who need progesterone supplementation. And some people would say it's definite for these 3. Some people would say even we debate these 3. But it's people who've done IVF, women with ovarian failure or in their mid-40s, and then also people with a female athlete triad. Again, for professional athletes, I think there is less of the LH in it, which is a hormone from the brain to help make the egg more mature, and we can give a little progesterone to offset that. However, for most people, I think they're really worried about it, and I think this was an issue that was very popular in the late 90s, early 2000s, and as a field, we've moved much more away from the subspecialists, at least from luteal phase support for progesterone deficiency, because it really rarely, if at all, exists. And part of why, then let's come back to what people are asking, well, why don't you supplement? And you know what? You can. If people need that for peace of mind, that's very reasonable to think about. However, here are the things that we don't like about it. First, it's an extra intervention. Focus your energy on what matters. Second, it adds cost. Why add cost to things if it's not going to clearly help? Because it doesn't clearly help for the vast majority of people. Third, it can actually cause birth defects. There's an association in the 1 in 10,000 range, roughly increase to 1 to 2 in 10,000 for hypospadias, which is downward turning of the male penis. Again, people can argue whether that's real, but I would say if it could potentially hurt and it doesn't clearly help, you kind of want the baby not to have problems if it's a male for its anatomy. And the fourth thing is, the shots hurt and the suppositories are messy and it's just generally inconvenient. So all those things combined, if it's not clearly helping, but it has downsides, I think the question most people would say, if it were your wife, what would you do? And for my wife, in most of these circumstances, I wouldn't give it. But at the same time, it's enough within the standard of care that if someone said passionately, I've got to have it, I'm a bit open-minded at this point. Unless better data says that we definitely should change it differently.
And then I don't think that you should do, especially when you're trying to get pregnant, do any medications that have not been proven to help that are not necessary. You don't want to put anything in your body that doesn't have to be there. Let's see, we have
just for a quick broader disclaimer for all these things, all of the things we're saying is to the best of our knowledge and insight at this time. And we're very open to the fact we may get better data down the road, or things may not apply to an individual who may be an exception to what applies to 90% or 99% or things like that. But we're going to give you the best advice to our own understanding about how we can get you best chances of a baby as quickly, efficiently, safely as possible from where we see things.
Absolutely. And does anybody have any more questions? That's everything that's on our list today. And again, just to remind you, our grand opening is on the 6th, starting at 8 a.m. So we would love for you to be there. And especially if there are patients who have already had babies, we'd love to love on them. So any questions before we go? I'm going to give y'all a couple of seconds.
June 6, 2018, and this coming Wednesday, and that's the grand opening. And then also we'll be back doing this in July on the first Friday as well. I think that's July 6th, isn't it? But anyway, we're looking forward to it. Thank you guys for sharing. Anything else? Vicki, you have to add?
Well, just remember to send us an email at Fertility at Periscope, PARRYSCOPE.com, and then we can compile this list and see what we're going to talk about next time.
All right, and thank you, Dr. Perry, for joining us.
We're so glad you were here.
Or maybe he was just worried about us doing it without him.
You guys are awesome. Bye-bye.
Okay, see See everybody later.
Bye.